So now we'll talk about the main external genitalia, the penis. Penis has a root which is a fixed part. Okay? So this root is attached to the ischiotubing ramus. This is the pubic symphysis. So the root is made up of two erectile tissues and two muscles. Two erectile tissues and two muscles. The erectile tissues are the crus or the crura, which is attached here, and along with that is a muscle called as ischiocavernosus. Ischiocavernosus. Okay? So there is erectile tissue, two crura, one on each side. Okay? Two erectile tissue. So what is the next erectile tissue? And that is the bulb. Bulb of the urethra. Around that also. And surrounding that is a muscle called as bulbospongiosus. Bulbospongiosus. And this is ischiocavernosus. Okay? So, two erectile tissues, the crus and the bulb, and the root. We are talking about the root. And muscles two, bulbospongiosus and ischiocavernosus. This bulbospongiosus will kind of squeeze the bulb of the urethra, and it is the one which ejects the final drops of urine and semen. Okay, so bulbospongiosus keeps on contracting towards the end of the urination, especially to eject the final drops of urine, and at the end of the sexual intercourse to eject the final drops of the seminal urine. Okay. Now, from here, this ischiocavernosus, this crus continues upwards like this. It continues upwards as corpus cavernosum, and from the bulb going upwards is bulbo. Is the, what is that? Corpus cavernosum and corpus spongiosum. So if you look from the side, the corpus spongiosum is below, and corpus cavernosum, let me just put it right like this. Corpus cavernosum is on the top. This spongiosum towards the end enlarges to form the glans penis. This spongiosum is the one which carries the urethra. Now when we take a cross section of the penis, the corpus cavernosum is here, and the deep artery of the penis is there inside, and the spongiosum is here, containing urethra. So For the sexual intercourse to happen, erection of penis is necessary. Now, when the erection of penis happens, there is involvement of blood in the corpus cavernosum. So, see this special arrangement. Spongiosum is spared. Okay, spongiosum is spared and therefore urethra doesn't collapse. The reason spongiosum is kept separate over here is so that the urethra doesn't get occurred, because urethra has to deliver the semen for conceiving the child. So for that purpose, so this corpus cavernosum during erection, although it may enlarge and thicken, this doesn't affect the spongiosum. It is carrying the urethra. Okay, urethra in the penis is horizontal slit and towards the end is a vertical slit, and that in the membranous urethra it is star-like. Okay, and seminal shaped in prostatic urethra. So urethra has 4 shapes in 4 areas, and that is why the urine flow in case of males appears slightly twisted. You will come across patients coming to you telling that my urine flow is slightly twisted. So that is normal, because 4 urethra have 4 different shapes, and that's what twists the urine flow. Of course, there is the dorsal artery of penis also and dorsal vein also. Now let's talk about the testes in short. The skin, in the first layer, right? Skin, and the next is Dartos muscle. Skin, then Dartos. Reason? Fascia. Superficial fascia is color. Why? Logic. Superficial fascia is fatty. Fat retains heat. So we don't want fatty superficial fascia over here. Because the very purpose of keeping the testes outside the body is that body temperature is more and we want 1 to 2 degrees less. So again, if we keep it in a sac which is covered with superficial fascia, which is fatty, and as the person becomes obese, so fat will, more and more fat will get deposited. So then, because of fat there is heat retention. So then the purpose is not solved, and that is why the superficial fascia is replaced by dartos. This dartos also acts for maintaining the temperature of the body. Okay, maintaining the temperature. In the cold season it contracts, pulls the testes up to prevent the heat, and in hot seasons it becomes relaxed. Okay, so that it is released. So it all helps in temperature control. Okay, then what is the next step? Next layer, external spermatic fascia. Then next layer, cremasteric fascia. The next layer, internal spermatic fascia. Then next layer. So this external spermatic fascia derived from external oblique, right? Cremasteric fascia developed from internal oblique and Transverse abdominis, internal spermatic fascia from fascia transversalis. And the next is the parietal layer, and then next is visceral layer of tunica vaginalis. Parietal and visceral layer of tunica vaginalis. Tunica vaginalis is derived from processus vaginalis. Processus vaginalis, which is the extension of peritoneum in the scrotum. Then is the tunica albuginea and tunica vasculara. So here is the testes. This tunica albuginea thickens along the posterior side to form thickening of tunica albuginea along the posterior border of the testis is called mediastinum testis. Mediastinum testis. From this mediastinum testis, septae arise, divides the testes into 200 to 300 lobules, each lobule containing 2 to 3 seminiferous tubules. Total seminiferous tubule will be 600 plus 600 to 800, right? So seminiferous tubule. So these seminiferous tubules, as they come here, their ducts form a reticulum over here, which is called as so the reticulum formed from the ducts of the seminiferous tubules inside the mediastinum testis is called as rete testis. So what is mediastinum testis? Thickening of the tunica albuginea along the posterior wall. What is rete testis? Inside this mediastinum testis is a reticulum, network of all the ducts of the seminiferous tubules. Is it clear till here? And of course, tunica vasculosa will be there inside. Now suppose this is the testes of the left side, upper pole, slightly lateral, lower pole, median, anterior border, posterior border, two surfaces, median and lateral. Anterior border, posterior border. Now suppose this is the lateral surface. Suppose this is the lateral surface, and here on the top is epididymis, which has head, body, tail, and here we see the sinus. And because of this sinus, we identify sinus of epididymis is always on the lateral side. Otherwise, it's very difficult to identify right testis and left testis. So put the epididymis posteriorly, look at the sinus. Which side is the sinus? Okay? Now suppose this is the lateral surface, so you will find the sinus over here. So you are looking from the side. Okay? So from the rete testis, the vasa efferentia go like this. So this is the vasa efferentia, which carry the sperms to the head. Which carry the sperms to the head, and inside the body of the testes is the ducts of epididymis, which becomes ductus deferens at the tail. Right? So duct of epididymis, what is the length? The length of the duct of epididymis is 7 meters. Sperm is in microns. Bichara. For it, 7 meters is almost like Kashmir to Kanyakumari walk. Okay? And then is ductus deferens. Vas deferens. What is the length? Forty-five centimeters. How many inches? 45 centimeters. Huh? Structures in the body which are 45 centimeter long. Spinal cord, femur in a standard adult, and vas deferens. Okay? This both vas deferens, if you are looking at the bladder from the posterior view, these are the ureters, they cross the ureters and they come down like this. And here are seminal vesicles. So when the duct of seminal vesicles join them, now it is called as ejaculatory duct. So till now, this is called vas deferens, these are seminal vesicles. And I have drawn the posterior view of the bladder. This is bladder. Vas deferens, these are ureters. It crosses the ureter from lateral to medial side, goes down to the prostrate. And here are the seminal vesicles. So when the duct of the seminal vesicles joins the vas deferens, beyond that point, the vas deferens now is called as ejaculatory duct. Okay? Which opens in the prostrate. Which opens in the posterior wall of the prostrate. Is it clear? One more concept, okay? Because we are discussing the testes, which produces cells which are haploid, right? So there will be a lecture on this. And suppose this is a seminiferous tubule. And then this is the Sertoli cell. Another Sertoli cell. Okay. So now what happens is the developing spermatogonia are here. I'm just telling you only one concept. Huh? Developing spermatogonia are here. They are diploid. Moment they become haploid, they are cell inside. So this compartment is called as the basal compartment. And this is called as adluminal compartment. The lumen is here. So there are Sertoli cells. So this is adluminal compartment. So there are tight junctions here. So they break this tight junction, go out and underneath. Moment they become haploid, they are sent inside. When do they become haploid? Spermatogonia. Primary spermatocyte is haploid or diploid? Huh? And secondary spermatocyte is? So here you will see spermatogonia and primary spermatocyte. Moment it becomes haploid, it is sent in the adluminal compartment. And this is called as blood testis barrier. These tight junctions. These tight junctions form the blood-testis barrier. If this barrier is broken, then the antibodies get access to the secondary spermatocytes and they will be destroyed. Okay? So very important concept, basal compartment containing lymphoid cells and abdominal compartment containing cells. There are many things in histology like what are the functions of cells of cell polymeria and cell lytic cells, all that we will talk to you, but this one, because we are talking about testing, is one important concept which we should know. Okay? So with that we stop our session on testis. Thank you so much. But before that, one more thing. Applied anatomy of the testis, we should know that the blood comes from the aorta level, the level development. Veins also. Now this is suppose IVC. The right side testicular vein drains into IVC and left side drains into renal vein. Opening into the renal veins is the suprarenal vein also, left suprarenal vein. So which contains adrenaline, which causes contraction over here. Adrenaline causes constriction. Because of that, there is pressure on the campiform plexus on the left side. Therefore, varicose is common on left side. Because left testicular vein is exposed to adrenaline coming from the left suprarenal vein, which is opposite here. Both of them open into the renal veins. So that is one thing we should be knowing. And so varicocele more common on the left side. Hydrocele is accumulation of fluid inside the two tunica layers. This can happen in elephantiasis, the filariasis also. This can happen otherwise also. Okay, very common, when the absorption of the fluid is reduced. Okay, so with that I stop here. Thank you.